All right, what's up? Welcome to Sportstopia Fantasy Fire and Ice NFL Edition. Fantasy exec Corey Parson, my man Cody Carpentier. Really take our time today, go through some of these games this weekend, get you ready for the weekend. I actually told a wrinkle to Cody pre-show. I do want to talk about a couple of these college games this weekend as we push towards the month of November, and we'll start seeing some CFP rankings come out shortly. So we'll get you a little bit of that stuff too, and then obviously, we'll run the optimizer, and then we'll get up out of here. We'll have a good time. Cody, are you in a hotel room today?
I'm in a hotel room. I'm on the fourth leg of my 4-leg trip. I'm in Austin, Texas for the next 3 days. So
Austin is
enjoying
a
a little.
I've never been to Austin, but I've always heard it's a great city. I'm a Houston guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I haven't been in a while though. None of this it's Trinity to go down there now. But I like the Southwest. But I've never been to Austin. I heard it's a good place to hang out with the co-eds.
Yeah, that's what they say. I've been here for about 24 hours. We came in late last night from Mexico, and then I caught a little one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my life was over at this Pine House Brewery. It's a deep dish style. And then this morning got a little Veracruz breakfast tacos. Pretty fantastic. So I can't complain so far. But I'm going to go see our good friend Alex Dunlap here in a couple hours. So.
All right, so shout out to my man Alex Dunlap. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad everything is going on down there. Cody is on tour. I'm about to say you at the Senior Bowl already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's coming around the corner.
The Senior Bowl will be here before you know it, or the crew will be out there in Birmingham. You know my boy Emery Hunt, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Emery is in that lane. He does a good job there. You know what I'm saying? All right. Last night got it started. Week 8, Bills and Buccaneers. Buccaneers covered the spread. I think Buccaneers 3-0 ATS on the road right now. Buccaneers covered the spread with an 8.4 quarters. Fourth quarter, the Bills improved their record to 5-3, 4-1 at home. Josh Allen, 2 touchdown passes, interception. He went over on his prop. Baker Mayfield, I think he just missed his prop or just went over. It was close. Really nothing much to see here. Kind of what you thought it was going to be. Buffalo does enough to win the game, and Tampa does enough to be like, okay, they can live to fight another day. I wasn't impressed at all.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I was kind of interested to see how these teams would both react. Obviously, Tampa coming off of a divisional loss against Atlanta and then a loss to Detroit. They've lost 3 in a row since the bye. So I was kind of interested to see if they would catch a little bit of fire here in this one, and they didn't. And they get Houston and Tennessee the next 2 weeks. So I think it's going to be kind of in the same lane. This is probably an 8-9 football team, 9-8 at best. I don't really have high expectations. A couple weeks ago, going into the bye, I was like, all right, Tampa Bay might be a football team. They got a little healthy in the defensive line with Kalijah Kancey coming back. But after that, what are they going to be? And the other side, Buffalo, I wasn't overly impressed with them last night either. Like, they played a fine game. Allen goes over 300, like you mentioned. They get Shakir into the game. Kincaid scores. That was good to see. But again, it's like a 6-point game against Tampa, who's a middling team. And then you saw 2 weeks ago the win against the Giants. They win by 5 against a below middling team. And losses to Jacksonville and New England in between there. It's like I still question really what Buffalo is. Are they past the window to really compete with the big dogs? Are they still considered in the big dogs? I would say personally, I would not consider them in the same conversation with the Kansas Cities, the Philadelphias, the San Franciscos of the world.
If you break it down to the AFC, I think it's a Kansas City tier. Yep. I think it's a Baltimore tier. And then I think it's a really everybody else tier.
Yeah. Jacksonville, Miami, Buffalo. Same tier. As of late, Jacksonville put themselves in that conversation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're going to see what Jacksonville is this week. And you know what? We might as well just go ahead and start there. It's not like we got to go down the board in any specific direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it's really just me and you. You know what I mean? Let's start there. Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. This is one of the fascinating games this week. Jacksonville laying 2.5 on the road. Nice low total at 41 in the game right here. Jacksonville 3-0 on the road. Jacksonville, as a matter of fact, has been pretty good on the road under Doug Peterson. Matter of fact, I think I got the number right here. Look at that. 8-5 ATS, their last 13 road games. On average, they're an underdog in these spots, though. When you change them and they make them the road favorite, let me see how that shakes out right there. The past 2 seasons as road favorites, they've only been road favorites twice. They are 2-0 in those 2 games, right? They covered both the spreads. So they won both games. And as a matter of fact, they blew the team out both times. So that's where Jacksonville stands with laying 2.5. But this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team, Cody, Pittsburgh point differential is minus 25, and they're 4-2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think of Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh on the surface because of Tomlin. I like them because of their defense, what T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig bring to the table. I think the back end is fine, but I just don't trust. I have like this. It's almost like a feeling of how I was towards Tua the first couple of years. I just didn't trust it, and now I'm starting to come around on Tua. But I have that same feeling for Kenny Pickett. Like I just don't think he can get it done. I don't trust him to go out there and win games that are important of this ilk, especially. And you look up Pittsburgh after the start of the season. If I told you they're 4-2 and you just dropped down from earth, you'd be like, wait, what? This is like a 2-4, 3-3 football team. But because they lost to Houston and San Francisco in such bad fashion, but they've gotten warm over the last couple of weeks. They beat Baltimore, of course, going to the bye, and they come out and get that, whatever that win was against the Rams. But I think Pittsburgh's in a fine spot here. I was thoroughly impressed with Jacksonville last week. I talked about the trip I'm on right now. The first leg was in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans last Thursday night, hung out with my boy Matt McEwem, and we went to the game, went down to Bourbon Street. But at the game, I was thoroughly impressed with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the first like 3 quarters, 2.5, 3 quarters, and where they dominated New Orleans. New Orleans didn't get anything going on offense. They had a couple field goals through 3 quarters. It was really not a close game. I think it was 24-9. And we had our legs kicked up, had a couple beers in, and we were just like, this is not a good football game the rest of the way. And then all of a sudden the Saints started scoring. So that did worry me. But I think what we've seen from Jacksonville the last couple of weeks has been enough to reconsider them in a tier higher than they were the last month, I guess. Coming into the season, they were expected to be the team that was to take a big jump, and they were going to be in the conversation. And then, of course, they get, the Kansas City game, lose 17-19. Then they let down against Houston where they just get walked at home. So after that, I think it really woke them up when they went overseas. The Falcons and Bills
second
back
home.
to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second home, it's almost like they went over there and they were like, hey, Travis, get on the bus. Hey, Calvin Ridley, get on the bus. Hey, Christian Kirk, and they just like brought these guys back to America, and all of a sudden they just started to play football because we didn't see
Calvin Ridley hasn't though. Calvin Ridley's been a disappointment.
He had the one game when they got back. That was where the thought came from. But it was like at least you started to see a little bit from the entire team. They didn't really get to the passer the first 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden the last couple of weeks they've gotten after the quarterback. They've got a couple sacks and pressures and I think that's a big part. A sleeper thing, this is like trade weekend, right? Trade deadline's on like Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, next week. This is a team 5-2 sitting here, not being able to really cause a lot of havoc in the backfield of quarterbacks. This would be a team that if a Brian Burns is traded, if a Montez Sweat or Chase Young is traded, Jacksonville would be a disgusting landing spot for one of these guys because they really need to get something that can get up to the passer. And they got guys like Caleb Chason and Josh Allen who have been pretty disappointing to this point. So
and Trayvon Walker.
And you bring up Trayvon Walker. But yeah, I mean, I think this would be an interesting spot to bring in a defensive lineman because this Jaguars team feels like they're like an edge, and maybe Calvin Ridley, waking up to get they're close.
But see, is there a wake up for Ridley though? Because see, my thing is this looked like the Ridley for the last season in Atlanta. And the last season in Atlanta, he was horrible. Before he went out, he was not playing well. This ain't Ridley that was looking like WR1 next to Julio Jones. This is a different Ridley. Week 1 Ridley, I'm like, okay, he's back. Now I'm like,
that's one quarter.
This guy right here that's right, just 1 quarter. Now I'm like, why is Christian Kirk better than this guy?
So like the game last weekend, he was matched up on Lattimore so much. Like, I don't think, people I've never thought of Ridley as like a pure alpha. I've never thought of him like an AJ Brown, like a Stephon Diggs. I think he's a very, very good number 2. And you saw that in Atlanta, right? When he was with Julio and he looked like a world beater and he was catching all the touchdowns. Maybe he really just needs like an alpha on the other side. And in this case, Christian Kirk is that guy. And Christian Kirk is a guy it's gotten better year after year after year, especially coming over from Arizona. So maybe it's just that they haven't found that exact role for Calvin Ridley yet. We saw the flashes, though. We saw the week 1 flash, the first quarter. I was drafting Calvin Ridley a little bit, and I was like, I was tooting the horn. I was like, let's go. Like the first quarter, the guy's got 7 targets, goes for a hundo and a touchdown. And then all of a sudden it's like moot. Like the next 4 weeks, it's the same total targets that he had in week 1. And then they found him a couple weeks ago, and then it's just mute again. And he had tough matchups, and he just can't beat the tough matchups. So if they could, I don't know. It's more so I think about just designing the offense, advancing it. It takes weeks. Like we're going into week 8 right now, so it's only his 8th game as a Jacksonville Jaguar, 7th game as a Jacksonville Jaguar, and they still got Kirk, they still got Ingram. Zay Jones is now out for this one, and then Travis Etienne's just been a different dynamic piece. So there's enough talent here that they really don't need Ridley to go for 150 every week. So
that's true.
Not to say he even can anymore, but they don't need to depend on him as much. And they called Kirk's number last week, and guess what? He answered the phone. So
got it done. Eagles and Commanders. This is the number up to 7, total 43.5. The Commanders been pitiful at home this year. That loss to the Bears, got their ass kicked by the Bills, struggled against the Cardinals, had to pull that one out in week 1. The Philadelphia, when these two teams met a couple weeks ago, I was on the Commanders because they was on the road. This week, I'm on the Eagles because I'm looking at the Commanders back into that defense, and I'm looking at the way A.J. Brown's playing right now, and I'm like, Philadelphia's going to light these dudes up. Philadelphia has trouble ahead, though, right?
Yeah,
because after they got that schedule. That schedule in Philadelphia is about to turn nightmarish. I think they get an easy win this week. A.J. Brown, the whole crew, they get their thing done, whatever. I'm not sure what Hurts is right now, right? I would be concerned about the 8 turnovers. Now, nobody's talking about it because he's not Dak Prescott, but Jalen Hurts has turned the ball over a lot this year. Devontae Smith's not getting involved. And now, and then on the Washington side, Jahan Dotson, we can cut him, right?
I mean, literally, he hasn't done anything. I mean, really neither has Terry McLaurin to the fullest extent. Like Curtis Samuel, I forgot the tweet. I think it's this year, I think top 15 finishes. Curtis Samuel has 2, McLaurin has 1, and Jahan Dotson has 0. So the matchup has just been in favor of Curtis Samuel. And really, I think what it is the pressure getting after Sam Howell and him not getting rid of the football.
40 sacks.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy, son.
I was listening to somebody. I think it was Lombardi. He was like, "This is he's on pace to break David Carr's, not Derek Carr, David Carr's inaugural season in Houston." Yeah. The original. Remember that year? Like, I mean, I was young, but that was
they beat the Cowboys in week 1 that year. I remember it well.
I remember just like watching him get beat up and everyone just saying, wow, they're really going to wreck this guy's entire career, just having him sit down here and just get wrecked week after week after week. And like Sam Howell's getting his opportunity, and now all of a sudden you got like Ron Rivera being like, well, I guess he's our quarterback for now. And it's like, dog, you got to like, maybe get this guy protected a little bit, and then you'll get a chance to see really what he is. And they just –
both of these dudes just don't know what they're doing. Bieniemy and Rivera.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? He's trying to make it. I don't want to say he's trying to
make running the Kansas City offense for Sam Howell. Yeah. He doesn't have an offensive line to run that offense. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And you're just sitting back there letting him get beat up and then looking at him crazy. And then Rivera, I think Rivera's a team dad. Like, I don't even think he's the head coach. I think he's like a team dad. When they was getting beat up by the Bears at halftime, the lady asked him, "What'd you tell the team?" He said, "I let them talk to each other." I was like, I'm out.
He just brings the Kool-Aid. He just brings the Kool-Aid and the oranges, and he's just like, "Hey guys, here's a snack. I'm just here. I'll fund the snack bin." And then
somebody call me if you need me. You know what I'm saying? Because things are getting reckless there. Baltimore, nice performance last week. We saw hero ball Lamar go crazy with 4 touchdowns. This weekend they go on the road, face Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals been fighting every game, but in the fourth quarter they tend to give it up. Baltimore laying 9.5, and this one, the total's 44.5. Baltimore has a bad habit of playing to the level of their competition.
What do you make of this Kyler Murray thing? They took him off the injury report. He's still on pup.
So interesting.
Do you think that there's a backdoor chance? Do you think they backdoor us on like Saturday night and activate him?
So I'm thinking, why else would you take him off the injury report? But then the thing with him is,
it's a tough matchup, dude.
If he gets injured, then he's yours. Then you can't move on. You can still, but if he gets injured, then he's in your facility, he's rehabbing, and then when the season comes and you're 1-15, then you're like, okay, now you got to make this tough decision and pay this guy. So I wouldn't play him, but if he's healthy, you kind of have to.
So this is my question, is because like if you look at this, they're 1-6 right now. and let's say they activate him and they play him, in their mind of mind, they have to think, well, we've been in these games. Maybe we can, rip one against Baltimore, and then we just, we catch Cleveland in a weird spot with no Deshaun and PJ Walker and this weird thing. Catch them with a win. All of a sudden, you're 3-6, and you start cooking up, and maybe you can get the 9 wins. Is that maybe what they're thinking? Because otherwise, if you sit on your hands with Kyler Murray, you're going to lose to Baltimore. You're going to lose to Cleveland. You're sitting at 1-8, and at that point, you're 1-8. You're not going to. Yeah. You're not going to activate him. So it's like we're kind of in a weird. I'm scared we're going to get backdoored on like Saturday night or Sunday morning.
That'd be crazy as hell. That'd be wild as hell. A couple right here in the chat. Josh Palmer, Tank Della, Chuba was going to do Palmer, but the injury has me worried. This is a 14-team league. What are we doing?
I would ride Chuba, to be honest with you. Like, Dell's coming off injury. I think Dell's gonna be fine. Palmer's fine. I just want to. I'll lean into Chuba. I think it's gonna be like a 60-40. I think in favor of Chuba in this Carolina. Not that I love the Carolina backfield by any means, but that's where I would lean. Touches.
I'm about to say South. Yes, thanks for putting that there. He needs to drop one. Ridley, Flowers, Wilson, Devonta Smith, Rasheed Rice, or Hollywood Brown. And I was going to say, is this a 10-team league? No, it's an 8-team league. My first word of advice would be to get 2 more friends. That's the first thing that you can do. If you can get 4, that's better. But if you can at least get 2, so you don't have these problems, I can't really tell you what to do with this right here. I mean, you can't drop half those dudes just on name value and you probably cut Rice, but like Rice is the one that I think has the most potential to grow. He has the most potential to grow the next couple of weeks. So, and then if Hollywood gets Kyler back, that's a different question too. Devonta's been the most disappointing here. Garrett Wilson's the most middling. And with Wilson, at least you're a little bit more optimistic. Like, the talent, the quarterback is playing better. He's going to get a ton of targets. You know what I'm saying? Flowers, you can't. Flowers is in there. You know what I'm saying? I was going to drop one for Kai Williams or Kyler. Why are you picking up Kyler Murray, though?
Yeah, you're not picking up Kyler, dog. It's an 8-team league. I'm guaranteed his quarterbacks are not PJ Walker. And
exactly.
He's probably fine at quarterback.
Apparently one of his league mates is in the chat as well, because another 8-team league. 2 8-man, 2 PPR, 2 flex. Burrow, Eckler, Pollard, Chase, Waddle, Hawk. The whole team is good. Bench, Fields, Kurt, Rice. I don't know what to tell you. 8-man PPR.
Hawk and Flowers. Should I trade Hawk and Flowers for Puka and Laporta? I would. Sure. Give me Puka and Laporta.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Why not? It's better than Kincaid. And then with Truba, how about KY Will? That's Kyron Williams.
Yeah, he's injured. Yeah.
Why are you picking an 8-team league? Why are you carrying a hurt player?
Yeah,
roster spots is at a premium.
Yeah, you got to put him on IR if you can get. If you can put him on IR, and you can drop, add, and then add again.
Yeah,
but unless your running backs are completely depleted, then I would just stick with what you got.
And for future questions, let's keep it to a 10-man league limit. The Rams and Cowboys. Cowboys laying 6 on the road in this one, right? I mean, at home in this one right here. Rams coming off that parlay crushing loss for me last week. Cowboys at home the past under Mike McCarthy have been legit cover spreads, no problem. You know what I'm saying? I think the Cowboys should make easy way of the Rams on this one right here. As far as Dallas goes, concentrated, Tony Pollard, you know what I'm saying? CD Lamb, you know what I mean? And on the Rams side, you still got Puka and Cooper, and both of them should be in lineups.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy's 11-5 as a head coach off of the bye week. They're coming off of a bye against the Rams. Rest, recovery, that's what he mentioned as his big keys. I think that's everybody keys in on bye weeks. But I think Dallas is in a spot now where hopefully they're not in look ahead mode. Hopefully they didn't just say, hey guys, we're coming off bye. The Rams aren't good. We need to look at that Eagles game in week 9. I don't think they're doing that, but I also think I know NFL teams definitely are looking down the line as far as just the entirety of the season. They know how important that Eagles game is, and I don't think this Rams team is one to take light. I think what they bring to the table with Kupp and Puka Nacua is something that very few teams even have the capabilities to do. McVay's a great play caller. I think they should have won that game against Pittsburgh. I think this is a fine football team. They played the Eagles to a 9-point loss just a couple weeks ago. So what'd you see the line was in this one?
Dallas is a 6-point favorite.
I don't love that, to be honest with you. I don't love that.
Matthew Stafford turned the ball over, and then and Matthew Stafford would turn the ball over, give Dallas a short field a couple of times, and that'd be it.
All right.
I've kind of seen this play out like this a couple of times already.
I
But
think
Dak Prescott is very capable of doing the same thing.
I just have a little bit too much belief. I guess I have a little bit too much probably belief in this Rams team. The Rams are middling, and
I could be overly optimistic on Dallas. I'm biased.
I think it'll be a good game. I think it's been going back and forth now. Kupp and Puka. If they can get both of these guys in the game, I think it'll be an interesting one.
They'll have a hard time, but on that, listen, they're gonna have to run the football too. We'll see how that goes, but I think it's interesting. Vikings and Packers. What are the Vikings doing? Are the Vikings going to try to be the 7th seed in the playoffs, or the Vikings going for Caleb Williams?
This is the thing. So I talked about this on one of my shows on Monday, my Top 10 Thoughts show, and that's Tennessee, that's Minnesota, and that's Arizona. We talked about Arizona already, but these 3 teams are ones that I think over the course of the last month have been in conversations to be like, oh, these are going to be top 10 teams. Like Arizona's probably going to get the top 3 pick. Minnesota could be vying for that before they ripped out these last 2 wins. And then Tennessee seems like they're in seller's mode. But when you think about it and you take a step back and you go, all right, Mike Vrabel, is he going to be in seller's mode the whole season? He's just going to forfeit? No, this team's going to try and try and try. I don't think you're going to see much of my feel right now. I don't think you're going to see Derrick Henry or DeAndre Hopkins moved. I think the Byard thing was a different deal, but I think on the offensive side of the football, I think they're going to try and give Will Levis and Malik Willis all the ammo on offense to see what they actually are. Yeah, they need to know. This is like the number one thing in Tennessee right now is they need to know if one of these 2 guys can do it. Malik doesn't look like he can. He doesn't look like he has the pocket presence at this certain time. We'll see what Levis has this weekend, but they need Hopkins, they need Burks, they need Chig, they need Henry, they need all these cats in this offense. And the also thing was with Henry is like Spears. Spears is there, so he's had the knee injuries that you can't just give him the whole workload. Minnesota next to that is a team last year that was undefeated in one-score games. This year they've struggled in those one-score games against good teams. The Eagles are good. The Bucs have been solid. The Chargers are what the Chargers are. They lose to the Chiefs by 7 as well. I think the Vikings are interesting. If they can win this game against the Packers in Green Bay,
back in it.
It puts them at 4-4, and the schedule is not hard. It's it's Atlanta, it's New Orleans, it's Denver, it's Chicago. You could hypothetically see them get hot and go 8-4 into that bye week in week 13, and it's not hard down the stretch. And they get Detroit twice, so I could see them potentially getting hot. Do I trust it as a Minnesota Viking fan and lived there for years and went to over way too many games? Like, do I trust it? No. But does it look like from a 1,000-foot view that this is possible with how the defensive line looked on Monday, how the offensive line looked, giving up no sacks with a free agent Dalton Reisner coming in, and how Kirk looked in primetime and with no Justin Jefferson. Jefferson comes back in a week or two. Like, yes, I think there's a world. I think there's a world where this team does do that. So I think Green Bay's in a world of hurt right now with how Jordan Love looks. So I would roll Vikings here in this one.
Addison's the real deal as well. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with you on this one right here. This is a Minnesota Vikings spot. Scary because every time I put something on the Minnesota Vikings, I'm like, you better not do it. And they do figure out a way to do it. Now, Atlanta's been terrible on the road for the most part, but I did think they would get a road victory last week, and they were able to go out there and get that done. This week, back-to-back road games, they got to go. Look at that, to Tennessee. Tennessee's been decent at home this year. Nice low total, 35.5. Atlanta laying it on the road at 2.5. That critical short road favorite. Arthur Smith, disaster. Some people, like, don't spite your nose to cut off the face. Don't be like, I'm going to show these fantasy owners and then lose your job. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a jackass.
Hey, he's going to be in for I think he's going to be in for something this weekend. I don't know. I think, obviously,
I agree.
shortchanging all the fantasy owners on Bijan was something that was unforeseen. It was actually funny. There was this one chick that's on Twitter that was like at the game, and she like took a pregame video with Bijan, and then he goes out and like has one touch. I was like, oh,
That's
nice
wild
She's
as
like,
hell.
he's gonna go for 2 tugs, and he get 1 touch. I was like, nice.
Yeah.
But I think that this one's going to be interesting. Atlanta is one that I'm not quite sure what they are. They're not top half in pressures right now in the NFL. They haven't really. I don't think they have a real a big win. They beat Carolina, Green Bay, Houston, and Tampa. Houston was a good game, but like I don't think that's a big win by any means. They've
Lost to the Commanders.
Lost to the Commanders. They've lost to both Jacksonville, Detroit, their 2 toughest games. They got kind of waxed in both those games. I think Tennessee is one that you better pack a lunch every time you play Tennessee, regardless of kind of what your expectation is. They've blown teams out. They've gotten blown out this year. They're coming off 2 one-score games against the Colts and Ravens, coming out of a bye week. Off of 2 big losses. Like, I think Vrabel's going to have this team ready to cook. I think Big Dog is going to be ready. Henry's going to be healthy. He's going to be ready to run the football. They're going to run the football a ton in this one. I think it's only going to allow, hopefully Burks and Hopkins can stay on the field together in this one, and we can see what Will Levis is. I think that the rumor that came out earlier this week about Levis playing this game or starting this game was leaked on accident. I don't know. It was weird to see Vrabel kind of run back and go, yeah, but, we're probably going to have some opportunities for Malik to get in, and we'll see what happens with Ryan Tannehill's ankle. And it was just kind of like a weird kind of pullback.
No,
kind of gave away their game script for this one. But I would expect, and if I was in the Tennessee office, I would be like, yo, guys, we got to get a whole game out of Will Levis. We got to let him either nuke this thing, go Nathan Peterman, or we got to see if he has any opportunity of upside. And this is like the perfect game to do that in. Atlanta's not top 15 in pressures or in anything on the defensive side of the football that would allow this to be ruined by a underperforming offensive line, which is what Tennessee has right now. So give him all the opportunities in the world. Get the football out to Hopkins, to Burks, to your guys underneath Chig and Spears, and run the football with Henry. I think Tennessee wins this football game by I don't know 8, 9, 10.
Oh, interesting right there. That's a good call right there. You get that at plus money too. Are we putting Drake London and Kyle Pitts in lineups this week?
I trust Pitts more than London this week.
All right. Yeah,
this is like every week. I hate doing this, but I think everybody does too.
Yeah, trust me, it doesn't make Sunday mornings easy. You know what I'm saying? Saints and Colts, I really don't care anything about this game. Michael Pittman continues to get it done, though. Jonathan Taylor is warming up, but the Colts have not been played that well at home. And then you got the Saints, who I don't know what the Saints are. I know what they say. I know they're gonna throw the ball to Alvin Kamara 50 times.
That's about what they are. The Colts have given up 38 points an average the last 2 games against Jacksonville and Cleveland. They lost to Jacksonville 37-20, and the Saints last week gave up, I think it was 24-9 before they woke up in that one. So this should be, it's a battle of teams that lost to Jacksonville the last 2 weeks. I think it really hinges on what the running game looks like for Indianapolis. And I think that they're going to try and get that thing going early with Jonathan Taylor. I think this might be the time where he kind of gets that leg forward and I don't want to say breaks out because he's already broken out in the NFL, but like breaks into the 2023 season. The opportunity is there. And of course you bring up Alvin Kamara. Dude missed week 1, 2, and 3. He's running back 16 on the season. He's running back 3 since he came
That's
back.
Crazy.
He's got, I think the number is 35 receptions, which is 9 more than Josh Jacobs, who's second. Again, missing 3 games. He's first in the NFL in receptions at the running back position. Kamara is just like unbelievable. He's been top 9 running back in fantasy football each of the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, his usage is unbelievable. And not only he's getting volume, but he's efficient too. Because it's not like he's catching 11 passes for 13 yards. You know what I'm saying?
It's weird though, because like we were sitting there at the game last week, and my boy Maddie's sitting there, and he goes, "You know what? Kamara is literally like the Kelsey of this offense. Like he doesn't have like routes built into what he's doing. He just like goes out there and finds a spot. And if Carr doesn't go somewhere else, he just dumps it to wherever Kamara's at. You know how Kelsey doesn't run actual routes most of the time. It's literally just a feel thing almost. It feels like for Kamara. So you're going to continue to get that output from Kamara. So
great find by Sean Payton. You know what I'm saying? He went down there. Nobody was really in on him. You know what I'm saying? And he went out there by himself. And he told those people, I want to see the running back, you know what I'm saying? And it ended up working out, you know what I'm saying? They did a good job with that one right there. It's been a solid player for them. He's going to need some help in Denver to turn that thing around.
Dang right.
Patriots and Dolphins. I think Tyreek is out this week. You go ahead. You can take this one.
I don't really know. I don't. We gonna get a Jalen Waddle week finally? It said Tyreek. It said he returned to practice yesterday.
Oh, he did.
Did they
Okay.
officially rule him out?
I must that's probably on me. I know he had missed a couple practices, so he got in there yesterday. Yeah, he was limited yesterday. Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to look it up
How
too.
does he do versus Bill Belichick though?
So they played. What was the stat line a couple weeks ago? Wasn't it like 5 for 41 or something like this?
Yeah.
I have to look it up. I think offhand, I think it was like 5 for 41, 5 for 40 in a touchdown. He scored a touchdown, and Waddle had 4 for 86 and 6 targets in that game. So I mean, like that's going to be their focal point. But you also saw Mostert in that game a couple weeks ago with really no A chain, have 2 touchdowns and very efficient, average almost 7 yards per carry. What does Bill Belichick do though? That's the thing is. If Tyreek does play and say he's actually banged up, but they're selling it as I'm healthy, he's going to go out there and be kind of a decoy, and they're going to try and take away Tyreek, which is usually an impossible thing to do. Does he focus on that, or does he try to focus on the run game? And then
I would focus on the run game.
You'd focus on the run game, and then make it be a chess move because yeah, that makes sense, right? I think I mean. New England just weird. You know, it's Halloween this week, and what do they always say up in New England? He goes, when we hit Halloween, we got to be playing our best football, and they just happened to have a big upset last week against the Buffalo Bills. So I don't really know. I don't really believe anything's going to come out of this New England situation just based on the last month of football that we've seen from them. But you know, they did it against Buffalo. If they could do it against Miami in some fashion, they're down there in Miami this weekend. Then they have Washington, Indianapolis the next 2. I've seen worse things happen. Like remember the Detroit Lions were 1-6 last year going into the bye. So
yep, they can definitely turn it around. So you know, I tell people all the time. You know, like I saw a headline the other day. Like 2 weeks ago, we was setting up the parade route in San Francisco.
Yep.
And now this week, Sam Darnold's their quarterback. So there you go. Life comes at you fast. Jets and Giants. Life has come after both of these franchises very fast the past decade. Jets laying 3. In their building, but they're the road team. The Giants, you know, the Giants have been playing good, not good. The Giants have been decent defensively and better with Tyrod Taylor as well. I would take the 3 with the Giants, but I have very low expectations for any statistical output of anybody in this game outside of Brees.
Yep, I like Brees. I like Waller. With Tyrod playing, I like Waller. I do agree with you. Jets are coming off a bye. They did have 2 wins against Denver and Philly coming in before that. So that's a big win. That's a big win against the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, before that bye. A lot of people forget about it just because they obviously didn't play last week. But basically a neutral field here. I like the Giants in this one. I think Saquon's healthy, obviously. I think Waller's going to continue to get targeted here with Tyrod Taylor, which is finally only took like a quarter of the season to finally get Waller to start cooking. And the defense is playing a lot better. They've only given up 21 points total the last 2 weeks against the Bills and Commanders. I think it's going to be another low-scoring one. 23 and 21 the last 2 weeks. Do you have the total offhand in this one?
36.5, son.
No, that's too high. That's too high. I don't trust either of these teams to score 3 touchdowns. Which one of these guys is going to score 3 touchdowns? I don't think either of them is.
No, I agree. This is not, like I said, this is a field goal game right there. It's going to come down to a kick. We talked Jacksonville and Pittsburgh already. Houston and Carolina. This is an upset special. Carolina wins this outright.
Oh, really?
3-point favorite. Carolina wins this outright. Carolina gets their first win of the year coming off the bye at home.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm not a big Frank Wright guy after the start. I touted Wright and in the preseason when I saw that he was going to get Bryce Young killed, I was like, I'm getting off of this guy. But now it seems like, he's already in hot water. He's not calling the plays no more already.
Yep. You can. So this is so tough. This is so tantalizingly tough because Houston looks fine. Houston looks good, and I think there's opportunity for Houston to kind of get on a little run here too. Carolina's given up 42 each of the last 2 games against Detroit and Miami. Both of those on the road, obviously. This is a home game. The last home game they had was against the Vikings. That was a 1-score game. They lost by 8. I think you're a week early. I'm going to go against you here. I think you're a week early. I think they're going to get the win next week against the Colts.
All right,
Like
I'm a week early.
this is like the Stroud thing. Stroud, I think, is going to have a little bit on him. Tank Dell's coming back. I think Stroud's going to have a little bit too much gasoline where he's going to go, dog, I should be the one playing in Carolina right now. And I think Frank Reich's going to be sitting on the other side and he's going to be like pointing at Frank. And he's not going to do this, but like pointing at Frank across the field, like, hey, you messed up. You messed up. And pointing up to the box, maybe to Tepper. He's
going to say, Tepper, you know what I'm saying? This is what you get. You want that short quarterback. Now you got him. Browns and Seahawks could be one of the games of the week. I do not like Cleveland on the road, though they should have lost last week. And then now you got a back-to-back road spot going up against the 12th man in the Pacific Northwest. I would actually lay the 3.5 with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks jump on them here.
I love Seattle. I love Ken Walker, Jackson Smith and Jigba starting to get pressed into this offense after they came off their bye just a couple weeks ago. We saw that one coming 6 miles away. If people hated and faded, I saw people drop him. I saw people trade him, and they were just all out on Jackson Smith and Jigba this season. And I was like, dude, you got to just hold the line because this offense is going to be A-okay just fine.
Gino hasn't looked that good this year, though. And
no,
that's compared to last season. He hasn't.
No, not at all. He has not. But again, like I think I had a tweet. I tweeted this out. It'd take me too long to find it, but I tweeted out as like the first 5 games last year, he was at 72%. His touchdown to interception completion was like 2.5 to 1, and then the last 12 games he dropped way down. And this year he's like middling. He's like just a touch ahead of how bad he was at the end of last year. But I think he's fine. There's so much talent around him. I think it's only going to continue to beat this offense. I do love the matchup for Seattle in this one, like you mentioned, two 4-2 football teams going against each other. I love the Cleveland defensive line. They've been underrated all year, as weird as that sounds, because they've been really good. I like Ken Walker in this one. I'm just going to continue to ride JSN. We'll see what happens with Lockett and Metcalf as far as health goes. Another interesting sleeper deep one is Charbonnet's banged up right now. And I think Ken Walker's also dealing with a little bit of an injury. And if you rewind the clock 2 months, you rewind the clock, you can find some articles talking about the Seahawks and Pete Carroll and how much they love Kenny McIntosh with Zach Charbonnet and Ken Walker out. And Kenny McIntosh was just activated this week. So Kenny McIntosh should see some game this week. So if you're in those deep leagues, I talked about it on my page.
I don't know who that is that just froze up right there, if that was me or Cody. Oh, it looks like that was Cody that froze up right there. So if we can get him back, we'll effort to get him back in there. You can let me know on that one, Ernie. And then, I'm with him. I like the Seahawks in this spot right here, and I like those same players that he was talking about as well. Obviously, there you go. You got it back in there. DK Metcalf doing his thing, but JSN is the guy. You want any last thoughts on Browns and Seahawks?
No, that's it. That's all I had. I know I cut out there. I literally banged cords and saw it come undone. But yeah, I was just talking about Kenny McIntosh coming back this week in some of those deep leagues in Dynasty, especially, and in some of your. I would venture to just watch and see what happens with these injuries going into the weekend because I could see McIntosh getting a little bit of a role. But on the Cleveland side, it looks like Jerome Ford's back this week, so he should be healthy and ready to go as well.
All right, Chiefs and Broncos. It's just like the Travis Kelce thing, and they 17 times in a row. If you got something to add, go for it. You already know what this is.
This is going to be what it should have been 2 weeks ago. We should have saw a dusting, and Denver somehow hung on that night game. I think this is going to be your 38-7, your 45-3, 45-6 game where everyone goes, yeah, last week we thought that we put Kansas City in tier 1, and now we are stamping it shut. Number 1 seed, lock it down in Kansas City. Pacheco's going to run wild. I think this is going to be a great game for the Chiefs.
Bengals and 49ers, probably the game of the week, Levi Stadium. Looks like we're going to get some Sam Darnold action. Niners undefeated at home so far this year, laying 4 at home. The Bengals coming off a bye, 3-3 on the season. Pittsburgh keeps winning. The Bengals get themselves in a tougher and tougher spot. So they already know or should know what the Steelers' situation is. This is the game that the past couple years that the Bengals would find a way to win.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the same Bengals this year.
I don't know if the Chiefs. I don't like the Bengals making the playoffs. I've been on this bit for a month now. This is you're asking them. You mentioned it. This is a game that usually they would come through and win. This isn't the same Bengals team that we saw a couple years ago. I know they've added some pieces, so it's weird. They're 3-3. You're also going against a San Francisco team that just lost 2 games after riding the highest of highs.
Yeah.
Borderline legendary looking the first month of the season. It's a tough spot, man. This is incredibly tough for Cincinnati to come off of a bye and go into San Francisco. They got Buffalo then next week at home on, I think it's Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. And every bone in my body wants to say Cincinnati's going to continue to push this line against Sam Darnold this week, but I gotta ride with San Francisco. I think San Francisco's going to get right. This team is too good overall. They got embarrassed on Monday night against the Vikings. As much as it wasn't an embarrassing look on Monday Night Football, they took it as an embarrassing look. The defensive line didn't do anything. They couldn't get after the quarterback. And what Jordan Addison did to them, I think they're going to try to make a statement and not allow that to happen against Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati offense.
So, yep, it'll be interesting to see Trey Henderson really going to have to bring it if they plan on having a good one. On my random Contrarian Edge Optimizer, that QR code on the screen right there will take you to said optimizer. You can go on ahead over there and sign up for it. Lamar Jackson, Isaiah Pacheco, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers, Marquise Brown, Trey McBride, Terry McLaurin, and the Atlanta Falcons defense.
I like that. I don't like having 2 Cardinals on there, but I do like it.
Yeah, I would try to limit my Cardinals as well. Jalen Hurts, Isaiah Pacheco, Breece Hall, Nico Collins, Drake London, Alan Lazard. I'm not playing him. Travis Kelce, Dalton Schultz, Seattle Seahawks defense.
Double tight ends. I like that. I like it except for Lazard and the double tight end part.
Yeah. And that's really kind of everything else is kind of a mixture of that right there. But as you get ready for your weekends, sportstopia.io, you go over there, get Cody rankings, get the rankings and all of that stuff. There's a QR code for that optimizer. You hit that. That'll help you make your DraftKings and FanDuel lineups on Sunday. Cody has Austin to get to. I probably got some running around town to do myself. So for Cody, it's Corey. Sportstopia dramatic theme music is right next.